I'm calling Honourable Second Member for Rivière des Anguilles. Yes.
Motion B 1031, please.
Madam Speaker, on the 31st of October 2024, on the night of Diwali, whilst the whole nation was celebrating the victory of light over darkness, the then government took a totally irrational decision which left the country in a state of dismay and darkness. That decision was taken just a few days before the 2024 general elections. On that very day, the then Secretary to the Cabinet and Head of the Civil Service, Mr. Pramod Niranjan, informed the office in charge of the Information and Communications Technologies Authority that following a report from the then Deputy Director of the National Security Service, Mr. Urdev Ramdani, that letter was dated 31st of October 2024, that the national security and law and order situation in Mauritius could be jeopardized following the post and publications and broadcast on social media of alleged telephone conversations of certain political figures from the previous regime and their close associates. According to the then Secretary to the Cabinet and Head of the Civil Service, these conversations allegedly represented a threat to national security of Mauritius and was likely to seriously destabilize the information as well as the fundamental constitutional, economic, social structures of Mauritius. In order to prevent any breakdown of public safety and public order, as well as to maintain law and order in the country, the then Intelligence and Security Coordination Committee had recommended that appropriate and immediate measures be taken. It must be pointed out that the previous government had completely disregarded the views and advice of the then National Security Advisor from India. The then Secretary of the Cabinet and Head of the Civil Service thus directed the officer in charge of ICTA to take appropriate action for the curtailing of the social media platform totally, until the 11th of November 2024. That is, on the very date of the proclamation of the results of the general elections, which they thought they were going to win. Madam Speaker, I wish to remind the House that the leaked information which was broadcast on social media was extremely damning against the previous regime, especially spread attention among the public, which was then in shock and awe at their contents. Consequently, the board of ICTA, under the chair of Mr. Dick Ning Suivez, hastily directed all internet service providers to temporarily suspend access to all social media platforms until the 11th of November 2024 in pursuance of Section 18(1)A of the Information and Communication Technologies Act of 2001. It is in those circumstances that on the 1st of November 2024, the whole nation woke up to the shocking news that the then government had taken the decision to ban social media and reduce internet speed. This unprecedented decision by a regime which was en net perte de vitesse had been taken without the slightest consideration for people who depended on the internet to do the work, on school children who also followed tutorials on the internet during the exam periods, and more importantly, without measuring the impact it would have on the economy of the country. They couldn't care less. The decision was in fact a political ploy hatched at the highest political level to save their skin. They thought they could save their skin against an impending debacle classic to what happens to certain rogue states under despots. Madam Speaker, the level of public outcry against this decision through all walks of life was unimaginable. Clearly, the previous regime had pressed its auto-destruction button. We know what they say, Jupiter rend fou tous ceux qu'il veut détruire. In regard to part B of the question, Madam Speaker, I'm informed that the adverse economic and social impacts of the suspension of social media platforms have been tremendous and devastating. It has generated considerable economic and social disruptions, including loss of revenue for businesses that rely on online advertising or digital sales, disruption of SME operations, particularly those using social media as the primary marketing channel, and negative impact on businessmen and the BPO sector who are totally independent on the internet for their work. More importantly, Madam Speaker, the reputational damage inflicted on our country at the place where the rule of law and freedom of expression prevailed and a haven for tourism and business was universally acknowledged. Madam Speaker, I want to reassure the House that my government will never allow such a despicable decision against the nation's interests and which curtail fundamental liberties. As I have indicated on many occasions, my government also stands committed to upholding the fundamental right of freedom of expression while also ensuring that this right is exercised responsibly. Furthermore, I wish to inform the House that the whole matter is still being investigated.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Yes? Supplementary?
What I understand that the conservation, post and all the posts that they try to block on the eve of the election. Can we have a full-fledged inquiry on all these issues?
All these posts have been secured, Madam Speaker, and also there will be a full-fledged inquiry. It has started, but it's going to continue for a while.
Thank you. Yes? Honorable Babaji, first member for Savannah.
B1032.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that on Tuesday, the 11th of November 2025, at 12:45, one Mr. B.J.S., a Belgian national residing at La Golette, reported the disappearance of his pleasure craft bearing number PPC 7380 OL10, which had been berthed and moored in the lagoon in front of the Lux Hotel Le Monde at the Black River National Coast Guard Police Post. An inquiry was opened, and on the same day, following information obtained, officers of the National Coast Guard and the CID proceeded to the Petite Rivière Noir Solpan in the ex-shipyard basin where the pleasure craft was found. It was unattended. A search was also carried out in the vicinity of the region, and 15 jerry cans of motor spirit hidden among mangrove vegetation was also discovered about 50 meters from the craft. The CID, the Scene of Crime Office, and FSL personnel were called to the locus for examination of both the craft and the jerry cans, which were secured. Madam Speaker, in regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that the inquiry is ongoing and the police is exploring all avenues, including the possibility that the pleasure craft may have been used to travel to Renewal Island or other neighboring islands. I regard 2025. It includes 1 Assistant Superintendent of Police, 9 police sergeants, 19 police constables, and 2 temporary police constables. I'm also informed that in the course of the inquiry, officers have viewed the CCTV footage at Lux Hotel. No arrest has been effected so far. The Anti-Drug and Smuggling Unit has also been informed of the present inquiry and has started intelligence gathering given the nature of the items recovered. With regard to Part C of the question, I'm further informed by the Commissioner of Police that it is not envisaged at this point in time to entrust the inquiry to a new team of investigators, but this might have to happen later. Since the Honourable Member has made mention of the Mauritius-Réunion axis, I wish to inform the House that a series of reinforced measures are being implemented to counter illicit activities, including drug trafficking activities, particularly along the Mauritius-Réunion axis. Cooperation with Réunion authorities is ongoing and is being strengthened from the Groupe de Contact sur la Sécurité, which facilitates inter alia real-time intelligence sharing between ATSU and l'antenne d'office anti-stupéfiants for the drug trafficking operations, coordinated maritime surveillance between the national coast, information sharing capacity building between the MRA and la Direction Générale des Douanes et des Droits Indirects to counter illicit trafficking, and judicial cooperation between the Attorney General's Office et le Bureau du Procureur Général de la Réunion. These efforts are further supported under the EU-funded Safe Seas Africa initiative, which enhances maritime domain awareness and interagency cooperation through the tripartite regional maritime intelligence sharing within the Regional Maritime Information Fusion Center in Madagascar and the Regional Coordination Cooperation Center in Seychelles, as well as the Operation Room of the National Coast Guard. Madam Speaker, following the state visit of President Emmanuel Macron, it was decided to enhance the cooperation between our two nations in the fight against transnational organized crime, in particular narco-trafficking in the Indian Ocean. The police will also benefit from new capacity-building opportunities through the Indian Ocean Academy. These measures and new cooperation avenues will significantly strengthen monitoring, improve enforcement capacity, and deter illicit maritime activities within our national territorial waters.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Babaji.
Will the Honorable Prime Minister enlighten the House to that same place where he just said Les Salines Lagoon? That land was leased to someone who is now jailed in Reunion Island, and that same place the boat was kept for 2 days. And how come those officers do not know the boat was captured over there?
Yes, Prime Minister.
Good question. We'll have to ask the Commissioner of Police. But in fact, they didn't know. They got a tip-off that the boat was there.
Okay, should be okay. Yes, the fourth Honourable Member for Rodrigues, Mr. Edouard.
Madam Speaker, B 1033.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Passport and Immigration Office that on the 9th of April 2025, Mr. L.R., a citizen of Mauritius, aged 61 years, submitted an application for an entry visa for the purpose of marriage on behalf of Ms. A.M.R., a Malagasy national, aged 42 years. On the 16th of May 2025, the application was turned down in the absence of relevant documents. On the 15th of July 2025, Ms. A.M.R. made an appeal to reconsider her application for visa. By virtue of Section 19A2A1 of the Civil Status Act, no marriage shall be celebrated unless an entry visa has been issued to the non-citizen for the purpose of the publication of the intended marriage. Under Section 19A2(3) EA and EB of the Civil Status Act, a non-citizen intending to get married to a Mauritian has to submit the following documents. One, an affidavit, another legal document, duly sworn by our firm, by him or her, before a court of law in his country of residence or her country of residence, attesting that he is or she is in gainful employment or alternatively has sufficient means to maintain himself and or herself. And two, an affidavit or any other legal document duly sworn or affirmed by him or her before a court of law in his or her country of residence, attesting the marital status of the person. The policy is to grant entry visa for the purpose of marriage upon submission of the documents as provided under Section 19A of the Civil Status Act. Madam Speaker, I wish to point out that there have been several cases whereby non-citizens have come to Mauritius for the purpose of marriage without the documents required under Section 19A of the Civil Status Acts. Since they are not able to get married without these documents, they request for extension of the visas, and therefore they remain in Mauritius on visa for long periods of time. This is why non-citizens applying for a visa for the purpose of marrying as citizens are requested to provide upfront the required documents under Section 19A of the Civil Status Act. Ms. A.M.R. has therefore been requested to submit the documents required under Section 19A of the Civil Status Act. As at date, she has not submitted any document. I am informed that there have been instances, Madam Speaker, whereby non-citizens are getting married to citizens for the sole purpose of obtaining residence in Mauritius. In order to address such issues, my office is reviewing the Civil Status Act as well as the Mauritius Citizenship Act and the Immigration Act for any consequential amendments.
Thank you. The table has been advised that PQB 1034, which is the next one, will be replied by Honourable Minister of Labour and Industrial Relations. PQB 1040 will be replied by Honourable Minister of Land Transport, and PQB 1047 will be replied by Honourable Minister of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation. So now I think I should call the third member for Grand-Bay Poudre-d'Or, Mr. Etouaria.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the DBM Limited that Mr. Devan Anakuti was enlisted as a part-time service provider for media monitoring for an initial period of 6 months from the 1st of January 2021 to the 30th of June 2021 against an all-inclusive monthly payment of 25,000 rupees. The contract of Mr. Anakuti was subsequently renewed 3 times on the same terms and conditions with the same monthly fee of 25,000 rupees as follows. First renewal was for a period of 6 months from 1st of July 2021 to 31st of December 2021. Then a second renewal for a period of 1 year from the 1st of January 2022 to 31st of December 2022, and a third renewal for a period of 1 year from 1st of January 2023 to 31st of December 2023. At the end of December 2023, a new contract with revised terms was signed with Mr. Anakuti as part-time communication consultant for a period of 1 year from the 1st of January 2024 to the 31st of December 2024 for an all-inclusive monthly fee of 35,000 rupees. The initial contract and each subsequent contract renewal of Mr. Anakuti was approved by the then board of the DBM Limited upon the recommendation of management. Total payment affected to Mr. Anakuti from January 2021 to October 2024 amounted to 1,250,000 rupees for media monitoring only.
Yes. Yes.
Can the Prime Minister confirm that Mr. Anakuti was had a dual employment at the same time when he was at the DBM? He was at the Ministry of Fisheries.
This is from what it appears to be the case, yes.
Yes. Okay. Now we have second member for Rodrigue.
Yes, B1036.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Director of the Pay Research Bureau that in line with the established practice, the Bureau has had consultations with the Rodrigues Regional Assembly as well as the Rodrigues Workers Federation in the context of the preparation of the next PRB report. Letters were sent to both the Rodrigues Regional Assembly and the Federation requesting written proposals as well as their views and observations on general conditions of service. Madam Speaker, as a matter of fact, in July 2023, the Rodrigues Regional Assembly was requested to submit information related to the review exercise. In August 2023, the management of the Rodrigues Regional Assembly and trade unions in Rodrigues were requested to submit their representations. The Pay Research Bureau has conducted a first visit to Rodrigues in June of 2024, whereby the Director and the Officer of the Bureau met the management of the Rodrigues Regional Assembly, unions, and federations to explain the approach and methodology that the Bureau would adopt for the 2026 review exercise. Thereafter, 2 additional visits were effected to Rodrigues from the 2nd to the 4th of April 2025 and from the 6th to the 12th of April 2025, respectively, to hold consultations with relevant stakeholders. The Pay Research Bureau has also had meetings with individuals who had expressed an interest to depone. Madam Speaker, it is opportune to note that at the request of one of the federations, a meeting was held with its affiliates in June of 2025 at the Bureau to discuss certain outstanding issues pertaining to pay, grading structures, and conditions of service. Furthermore, in July 2025, a delegation comprising of the Island Chief Executive and the officers of the Rodrigues Regional Assembly had a meeting at the Bureau where several issues in relation to Rodrigues were discussed and cleared.
Thank you. Yes. You're right, Mr. François. The Honourable Second Member for Bureau-Tampere, Mr. Suivez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is question B/1037, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Chief Executive Officer of the Multi-Carrier Mauritius Limited that intermittent FM radio reception in certain parts of the southeast region of Mauritius is a long-standing issue. This is due to the fact that certain regions, especially the coastal road in the southeast region, are mountainous, and therefore the topography of the terrains result in sporadic FM radio reception. Regards to Part A of the question, I'm informed that the responsibility to ensure adequate radio and signal coverage rests with Multi-Carrier Mauritius Limited, a company established under Section 28 of the Independent Broadcasting Authority Act. MCML acts as a multiplex operator and is responsible for ensuring that both terrestrial radio and television transmission over the island of Mauritius, Rodrigues, and Agaliga. Madam Speaker, regards Part B of the question, MCML is aware of the situation and is considering the possibility of installing a new FM station in the southeast region to improve radio broadcasting law. MCML is in consultation with the Independent Broadcasting Authority and the Information and Communication Technology Authority and all FM radio operators for the location of specific FM radio broadcast frequencies in that for that region. I'm also informed that at present, MCML is undertaking a preliminary test on the FM broadcast reception in the southwest region, and the quality of FM reception in that region is expected to improve within the first quarter of 2026.
Thank you. That should be all right, yes. The Honourable Fourth Member for Port Misnos.
Yes, 1038.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I'm answering to both B1038 and B1041 as they are connected. With regard to the number of persons presently overstaying their visas, I'm informed by the Passport and Immigration Office that as at 22nd November 2025, around 9,800 persons are overstaying in Mauritius. I'm further informed that Mr. BRS is a French national born on the 19th of October 1994 in French Guiana and holds a French passport. He came to Mauritius on the 30th of May 2025 from Renewal Island, and it was his first visit to Mauritius. At the immigration counter, he informed that he would stay in the country for a period of 6 days at a guest house in Mayberg for tourism purposes. Security checks and verifications carried out on the Interpol database on the same day revealed nothing adverse on Mr. BRS, and the latter was allowed to enter Mauritius for 15 days. It is to be highlighted that French nationals do not require visa prior to traveling to Mauritius. On the 14th of June 2025, date on which his visa expired, he neither left the country nor applied for an extension of his stay. Since that date, he was being looked for the tracing and tracking team of the Passport and Immigration Office. I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the 29th of October 2025, at around 12:15, following information obtained by the police, Mr. BRS and two other persons, namely Mr. JPSC and Mr. JFIG, who were in a private car, were intercepted at Royal Road, La Sousse, Central Flac, by CID Eastern Division. They were found to be in possession of suspected drugs and other incriminating articles, including one rifle without any label nor any serial number, one black plastic wrapping containing a quantity of white powder suspected to be cocaine on the right side jacket of Mr. BRS, one plastic parcel wrapping a quantity of white powder suspected to be cocaine in the car, one knife sharpener, one what they call a Rambo knife from under the observer's seat, and two black hoodies and one pair of black and red gloves. All these items were secured by the police, and the three persons were arrested. Mr. BRS confessed his guilt. I'm also informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the same day, that is the 29th of October 2025, at 13:40 hours, a case of sequestration, which occurred on the 25th of October, at around 23:00 hours at l'Espérance Trébuchet, was reported against Mr. BRS at Piton Police Station. On the 30th of October, he was provisionally charged before District Court of Flack for the offense of drug dealing, to wit, possession of cocaine for the purpose of distribution and conspiracy to commit sequestration. He was remanded to police cell. Mr. BRS appeared before the District Court of Flack on the 6th of November, on the 13th of November, and the 20th of November 2025. The police has objected to his release on bail, and he has been remanded to police cell until the 27th of November 2025, whereas the other two persons were released on bail on the 20th of November 2025. On the 2nd of November 2025, the National Central Bureau of Interpol in Mauritius sought information from the National Central Bureau of Interpol in France on Mr. BRS. Thereafter, on the 4th of November, Interpol France issued a red notice against Mr. BRS, who is wanted for drug-related offenses, participation in a criminal conspiracy with a view to preparing an offense punishable by 10 years imprisonment, and also money laundering. Madam Speaker, I'm informed that investigation by the police is ongoing regarding all the cases reported against Mr. BRS. The inquiry will reveal whether there is any connection with the recent cocaine seizure on the MV Alpha Bravery. By virtue of the provisions of the Passport Regulations 1969, nationals of almost all countries are granted visa on arrival after having satisfied immigration requirements and security checks. This system has given rise to many, many persistent abuses, as evidenced by the significant number of overstayers. My government will take remedial actions to strengthen the border control system by amending the legal and regulatory frameworks where necessary to prevent the occurrence of such abuses.
Thank you, Mr. Duval. Yes?
First question, Madam Speaker. Given that this person has remained nearly 4 months on the territory without a visa, valid visa, and that he was publishing videos on social media, which in fact are being used to prefer charges against him, videos that tells about his violent and unlawful activities. It puts into question, raises issues on the role of the Field Intelligence Unit, which reports to the Prime Minister, the Commissioner of Police, and how, for 4 months, such a violent individual convicted for murder and drug trafficking internationally has been allowed to come and do that not in front of them on social media. So that is the first question.
This is why I said we have to review all these things. Because today, he just said murder and all this. But when they check on the Interpol list, it wasn't there. That is the problem. We have a deficient system, which we're going to look at, change, because many countries in the world are now using a new system. It might cost a little money, but a new system where these individuals won't be able to come in.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Yes, more questions.
Madam Speaker. Can the Prime Minister clarify whether, given the exemption from visa requirements for people traveling from France, whether the same checks are done for those travelers coming from a French territory as would be another traveler coming from a country where a visa is required? Therefore, are the procedures for background checks the same as in the case of this Mr. El Capo?
My understanding it is. Whether it's being done or not, I don't know, but my understanding it is. It's the same check.
Okay, Mr. Babaji, you have a question? No. Because your PQ was also answered by the Prime Minister. Let me proceed now. We finished with, sorry.
And 39.
So it's 39 now, huh? Give me 1 moment. There we are. Third member for Bobassa.
B1039, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the 28th of March 2023, Mr. BSR made a declaration to the Central CID to the fact that in November 2021, he decided to purchase a villa from import of the Ireva Villas, a project of Arriva Immobilier Limited, and represented by Mr. ACP as director. On the 24th of November 2021, Mr. BSR signed a contrat de réservation préliminaire Société Civile Immobilière d'Attribution with Arriva Immobilier Limited for an initial contract of around 8.2 million rupees. On the 13th of December 2021, a down payment of 1.5 million rupees was made. On the 17th of February 2022, Mr. BSR paid a sum of 3.5 million rupees. On the 7th of December 2022, Mr. ACP requested him to pay an additional sum of 2.2 million rupees over and above the agreed amount of 8.2 million rupees. He refused to pay the amount, the extra amount. He has served a mise en demeure to the director of Arriva Immobilier Limited. He has given this declaration as a measure of precaution as he intends to enter a civil suit against the company. In accordance with established procedures, an inquiry is initiated even if a precautionary measure has been given, whether the offense has been committed or not. Police started an inquiry on the matter. It has recorded statements from 6 persons, including Mr. D.R., notary, Mr. C.P., director of Ivera Villas, who denied the allegation leveled against them, and they were allowed to go. The other 4 statements were from witnesses. I must point out that despite the fact that a declaration was made to the police on the 28th of March 2023, it was only on the 13th of May 2025, more than 2 years afterwards, that the case was forwarded for advice to the office of the DPP. This even, there's a cloud, there's the nebula of cloud here. Why did it take more than 2 years for the case to be forwarded to the DPP? On the 22nd of May 2025, ODPP requested, the office of the DPP requested the police to initiate further investigation. The police is attending the request. I started the inquiry. I am also informed by the Commissioner of Police that the names of 2 notaries public have been mentioned and that the inquiry is going on. I'm informed that the FCC has received several complaints made by victims against the owner of Venice's property and the owner of Arriva Immobilier Limited, following which the latter had initiated 2 investigations for money laundering with predicate offense of swindling occurring as from year 2022. An inquiry is still ongoing on this matter as well. The honourable member will appreciate that perhaps at this stage I can't give further details.
Thank you. Yes.
Madame la Présidente, ce genre d'escroquerie devient malheureusement trop fréquent et font beaucoup trop de victimes mauriciennes de la diaspora, mais aussi étrangères. Donc le Premier ministre peut-il nous dire si des moyens seront mis en œuvre pour prévenir de tels actes? Il y a beaucoup trop d'escrocs qui sévissent en toute impunité dans ce secteur.
And also there's going to be a new law practitioners bill that is coming up. We have to look at all these notaries as well.
Yes.
The 2 of them were well known. I suppose you know who they are.
Thank you. Last question. Time will be up.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Même si des procès au civil, voire au pénal, sont engagés, les victimes ne recouvrent pas leurs investissements. Donc, le Premier ministre peut-il voir avec le bureau de l'Attorney General pour que les lois soient amendées en exigeant, par exemple, de fausses garanties aux investisseurs, aux promoteurs, garanties qui peuvent éventuellement servir à indemniser les victimes?
I think I will ask the Attorney General to look into this matter.
Yes, time is up. Now, the table has been advised. The following PQs have been withdrawn. B1061, B1047, B1055, B1042, B1046, B1052, B1045. Now, we've got very little time left before we break for lunch. We can still start. Yes, let's start with question time. Yes? Everybody wants to break, right? No. Questions? B10, Mr. Babaji again. Vous avez enlevé. J'ai pas eu le temps tellement ça va vite. Allez, vous allez me dire, Honorable Chief Whip.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. B1056.
Yes.
Madame la Présidente, avec votre permission, je dépose les informations sur le nombre de plaintes reçues celles résolues, celles en attente, ainsi que les principales catégories de plaintes reçues au cours des 2 dernières années de la part des consommateurs de la CWA pour la circonscription numéro 18. Concernant la partie B de la question, j'ai appris que la ligne d'assistance 170 fonctionnait auparavant 24/7. Cependant, ses horaires d'ouverture ont été modifiés et sont désormais de 5 heures le matin, AM, à 23 heures, à compter du 1er, cela a commencé du 1er septembre 2022. Néanmoins, en période de forte affluence et pendant les fêtes, la ligne d'assistance 170 reste ouverte 24/7, compte tenu de volume d'appels. Concernant la partie C de la question, j'ai appris que la hotline 170 est gérée en interne par la CWA, qui compte actuellement 15 employés. L'équipe comprend un coordinateur des relations publiques et de la communication, 2 chefs d'équipe et 12 agents de service clientèle. Face à une charge de travail croissante, la hotline 170 s'appuie fortement sur ses 14 employés à temps partiel aussi, qui travaillent par roster de 5 heures le matin à 9 heures à domicile et de 16 heures à 21 heures, afin d'assurer le fonctionnement quotidien et de traiter les demandes des clients. Malgré ce dispositif, le service expérience client reste en sous-effectif par rapport au nombre d'appels reçus, notamment en cas de coupure d'eau majeure ou de problèmes d'approvisionnement en eau régionaux. Madame la Présidente, concernant la partie D de la question, j'ai appris que les réclamations sont traitées par les équipes d'exploitation des 6 zones de distribution d'eau, donc nous avons 6 zones. Ces équipes sont également confrontées à un manque de matériel et de personnel pour effectuer des réparations, les raccordements à domicile et les autres interventions. Il convient de préciser que le réseau de la CWA est ancien et présente des défaillances dans plusieurs régions, ce qui le rend sujet aux ruptures des tuyaux. Selon la complexité des réclamations, le délai de réponse moyen est de 2 à 3 jours. Ce délai peut être plus long dans certains cas, notamment si des travaux importants sont nécessaires ou en cas d'indisponibilité de l'entrepreneur. J'ai également appris que la CWA a approuvé un système de roster révisé, assurant ainsi la disponibilité de la ligne d'assistance 170, désormais 24/7. Ce système mobilisera un effectif total de 33 personnes, qui permettra de se passer du personnel à temps partiel. Donc, on recrute actuellement 33 personnes à temps pour travailler et sera renforcé par des équipes administratives chargées du suivi des réclamations jusqu'à leur résolution.
Madame la Présidente.
Yes.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Je remercie le ministre pour sa réponse. Le ministre peut-il indiquer à la Chambre s'il trouve acceptable que la hotline 170, censée assister la population, que la majorité des plaintes demeurent ni traitées, ni suivies, ni même accompagnées d'un retour aux usagers, et le personnel ne s'adresse pas correctement au public. Peut-il également préciser si lui-même, le ministre responsable de la CWA, est satisfait de la performance de ce service? Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Madame la Présidente, je remercie l'honorable membre pour sa question. Je dois souligner, Madame, que je suis nullement satisfait personnellement des performances du hotline 170 de la CWA. Je suis pleinement conscient des nombreuses difficultés auxquelles le public est confronté, notamment par le manque de réactivité, exactement comme l'a si bien dit l'honorable membre, de ce service face à la détresse des abonnés qui subissent des situations de water stress. Je peux d'ailleurs témoigner que j'ai personnellement téléphoné sur le 170 et j'ai appris plus tard que le Deputy Prime Minister, le DPM, a aussi téléphoné. Sur le hotline, et je peux dire que le DPM a eu plus de chance que moi. Quand moi j'ai appelé, puisque moi quand j'ai appelé le 170, madame, afin d'évaluer le fonctionnement du service, j'ai pu constater les mêmes problèmes que ceux rapportés par nos concitoyens. C'est précisément pour cette raison, Madame la Présidente, que j'ai demandé un rapport complet sur la performance du service hotline soit soumis dans les plus brefs délais. J'ai demandé aussi au General Manager d'écrire officiellement celui qui est responsable de ce hotline 170, et une lettre est sortie, un warning letter est sorti, adressé à celui qui est responsable de ce hotline. J'attends, je dois le dire ici à l'Assemblée nationale, et je suis sûr que les employés responsables de ce hotline m'écoutent actuellement parce qu'ils savent ce que... Ils ne sont pas au courant de ce que je vais dire ici, mais ils savent que ça va chauffer. J'attends de ces services qu'ils soient beaucoup plus réactifs et qu'une meilleure coordination soit assurée entre le hotline 170 et le département de camions-citernes de la CWA, afin que les doléances des abonnés puissent être traitées plus efficacement dans les meilleurs délais. Il est également clair qu'une augmentation des effectifs, donc on recrute là, comme je le disais un peu plus tôt, devra être envisagée pour améliorer de manière durable la performance et la qualité de ce service essentiel au public.
Je fais juste une remarque. C'est ce qu'on appelle le numéro vert. Ce n'est pas que le 170 qui est déficient.
Ce qui m'intéresse, c'est le 170.
Je sais.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Le ministre peut-il informer la Chambre s'il est au courant que plusieurs tuyaux ont été posés à Belle-Rose 4 bornes sous l'ancien régime, mais n'ont jamais été raccordés, laissant ainsi les habitants sans accès à l'eau dont ils ont désespérément besoin. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Oui, je dirais quelques mots dessus, avec votre permission, Madame la Présidente. Je comprends très bien ce que l'honorable membre dit en ce qui concerne le raccordement des tuyaux à 4 bornes, mais malheureusement, il n'y a pas à 4 bornes. Si vous allez en direction de la Cascavel, par exemple, l'ancien ministre doit bien moins savoir. Si vous allez en direction de Cascavel, quittant Bossonge, vous allez voir sur la gauche des tuyaux, des gros tuyaux que nous avons installés en 2023, sûrement en 2024, en payant des millions de roupies. Ces tuyaux ne sont jamais raccordés. Il n'y a pas que ça. Il y a Tamarin, par exemple. Il y a Tamarin, par exemple. Le ministre est au courant. Le ministre est au courant. À Tamarin. Morcellement, les salines à Tamarin. Le morcellement. Laissez-moi répondre. À morcellement, les salines à Tamarin. Des tuyaux ont été posés pour des millions et des millions de roupies. Ces tuyaux n'ont jamais. Et le ministre est au courant. Malheureusement, il ne pouvait pas mettre la raison avec Prakash Mantora. C'est ça la raison. Il ne pouvait pas le faire. Parce que l'ancien directeur général de la Central Water Authority ne répondait pas au ministre, répondait à la cuisine. C'est ça le souci aujourd'hui.
Merci. Chers amis, il nous reste 5 minutes. Est-ce que ça vaut le coup? Je ne crois pas, mais je vous prie. Vous voulez parler? Posez votre question.
Go for my B1040. My PQ B1040 that was for primary center allocated to...
Was already replied.
No, hasn't been replied, but has gone to Minister of Land and Transport.
J'ai rien compris. J'ai rien compris. Vous, pour l'instant, votre numéro, c'est 1057. Après lunch. OK. Let's break for lunch. Break for lunch. 2:30. 2:30. J'ai pas compris. 2:30.